Hi, welcome. This is going to be a short, hopefully, video. I want to run through a couple of what I consider to be very important, quote unquote, metaphysical laws that we need to understand. I'm beginning a whole new kind of teaching tangent series called Releasing the Keys. And it's very important for people to, when you go into Remez and Sod understandings, you really have to have these fundamental. We are going into other realms. We're not necessarily talking of everything that's literal and drush. I've been over this. So when you go into these, how words are used in other dimensions, to explain other dimensional realities, it's very important to understand there are absolutely fundamental laws of metaphysics that correspond to, you know, we know down here in nature, the laws of nature. So, and they really parallel each other. But I just want to do a quick rundown because these are in our text, it's in our text, but I really want to try to draw people's attention to this, all right? So, you know, knowledge is power, and we're looking to have power at the end of the age. That's one of the things that is promised to us. So let's just put it this way, there's two kinds of people. You know, there's really sons of light and sons of darkness. That's a fundamental kind of biblical outlook. But they can break it down to two kinds of people who, you know, one who already sort of like bows the knee, who acknowledges and worships and functions under the Creator. The Creator is the God, the Elohim of Israel, all right? But I think there's a lot of mercy with Yahweh. I think that there's a lot of people who worship, and I don't want to, that's a preaching, who worship the Elohim of Israel, but maybe wouldn't fit into some of the nice, tight-clad religious categories that everybody wants to put everybody in. But whatever. So you have this and you can worship. So a lot of people out there are worshiping the creation. What's going on today, and the reason I'm doing this, because a lot of these kind of metaphysical laws that, you know, are being repackaged today under New Age and are, you know, as more occult teachings come out, as more people move into dark occult arts and into practices that have been way under the radar for centuries, and very few people really did have access to this. Today with the internet, it's, my gosh, anybody. You can build a nuclear bomb and you can learn how to, you know, cast a spell on your neighbor, whatever. So it's very important that a person who gets up to speed, so we can understand how these metaphysical laws work. They can affect saint or sinner alike, all right? So, let's see, there is the first thing, because the New Age, like I said, is repackaging all this, but they're really telling you only that it's all like under the category of the creation. This is how I just saw a show, and the characters were saying, well, you know, I hope the universe will be good to me. Like this whole, the force out there is now like the universe, so that universe will be good to me or answer my prayers, or like if I put out enough positive energy there, right? You know, whatever. Okay, so let's just say the number one metaphysical law, which runs is for the believer, is the starting point that there is one Elohim and one Father over all. I mean, if you go to Ephesians 4, Paul makes a very strong case. But this is the whole foundation of Judaism too. I mean, Adonai is, Echad Israel. Adonai Eloheinu, the Lord God, Adonai Echad is one. All right, there is one high God, Creator, Father over this whole thing. All right, Pollux is explaining sort of to the Gentiles, and I want to go through this real quick because he uses a bit of a little more flowery language. But when you understand, because in my opinion, Paul's a master, initiated Kabbalist. He is trying to explain deep mysteries to a whole new people group, in the context of Jewish theology, all right, how this whole thing works. So he talks about there is, in Ephesians 4, there's one body and one spirit. Okay, but in other words, he says there's a body and a soul. We all have a body and a soul, but there is one Elohim and Father over all, who is over all, through all, and in all. All right, and if you break it down, get rid of the word God, which to me, let's put Elohim. See, this is important when you can understand the Greek and the Hebraic counterparts. There's one Elohim and one Father. There is one Elohim is the female personification. It's Bina, and there's one Father, which is Hokmah. This is a heavenly Father. This is the concept in the principle, in the foundational principle of the divine feminine. All right, I have videos on that. That's kind of an understanding. If it sounds a little strange to your ears, just stick with it. All right. So there's one Elohim and one Father who is over all, through all, in all. In this whole, we live and move and have our being in Him, in Abba, in the Father, all right? So that is number one metaphysical law, all right, if you're a believer. And if you don't bow now to that kind of concept, believe me, there's going to be a whole plan coming into play pretty soon that's just going to make it happen. All right. So the number two one is these systems, all right, which we call the body, the soul, and the spirit. It's called the heavens and the earth, all right, and the high heavens and the high earth, all right. So, I go through the whole thing of the tree of life and how it's very categorized, how this whole thing works, how we live and move and have our being. Live, move, have our being. Those, again, are telling you three different states of being. It's the same concept in the four elements of, water can be a liquid, a gas, or, frozen. So it can have different states of being. We're tracking with these concepts. All right, so these are the systems that we have to understand. They're all integrated. There's no, and they all talk to each other. And this gets especially into our body. Our body is considered to be a microcosm of the macrocosm, the creation. There's always these parallels, all right? So they correspond to each other. This is the kind of as above, so below. The outer body and the inner soul, the vessel and what fills it and animates it. I've been through a lot of this. This is very evident in Exodus 25, and this is where Moshe is told how to make the temple below to an exact pattern, to color, texture, different animal, the different kingdoms and everything, because he's integrating. He's doing something that is going to integrate and be like, what do they call those? A visual, a pictograph of something very important for people to understand. All right. So there's the third law of metaphysics. So we have one, that there is one, creator father over it. Two, that all the systems of this creation are all integrated. They talk to each other. They have different realms of expertise and realms of, so to speak, operation. All right, your body does not do what your soul does. Your soul does not do what your mind does. Okay, but the third metaphysical law is, in its most fundamental way, all of this creative power, is vibration. All right, vibration, energy, all is energy. All right, it all, and this is the point of it, emanates, it flows. This is the concept where you get into the four rivers. It's starting to break down this concept that there is movement, there is vibration, there is energy, everything is alive and full of potential, and it's a concept of simplicity or pureness to complexity. Now, and there's a famous book, one of the deepest, most arcane texts within Judaism, called the Sefer Yetzar. I mean, it's a great read, and I want to blow your mind. All right, what our sages know, but it talks about how the universe was created with quote unquote 3 books. this actually does translate into a lot of our verses in the Old Testament. We don't really understand what they're referencing. So we need to understand these are metaphysical laws that are being referenced, all right? So it talks about how with voice, with breath, and with speech. Now, there's a lot of other kind of ways that it can be translated, with letters, numbers, and voice, or text, with story, with book, story, and storyline, different things. But that's all, we're talking about a progression here. So voice is sound waves, breath is light waves. So we know this, that there's light and sound. Everything moves. It's emanating with light and sound, and there's different gradations. With light, you have different, color waves, different spectrums of energy. We have all these different wavelengths and different kind of waves out there, all right? And speech. Speech refers to the letters. Everybody knows probably that the creation was originally, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are like the code of creation. It is like the codes, all right? And these are packaged and put together, permit in different ways to make, to different things. And this also gets into numbers. So actually letters and numbers, because every letter is a number, vice versa. It's a little package deal there. So the world is mathematical, the creation is mathematical, but it's also composed of pixels, or matters, or little pixels of information coming, all right? Okay, so that's number 3. Everything is vibration. Number 4 is dualism. This is a huge principle, all right? The creation is dualistic. And there's 2 words here. There's the word binary, but there's a word dualistic, meaning everything has duality. There's 2 sides to everything. This is why you got a right side and a left side, all right? And if you've been tracking with my beginning keys videos, the right side is the side of blessing, the left side is the side of cursing. You're either going to get blessed or you're going to come under curses. You're going to be, have loving kindness, or you're going to have judgment. All right, this is in everything. So there's 2 sides. This is where you get, everything it's light or it's dark, it's male or it's female, you have a night and the day, you've got the sun and the moon. And these are things that are beginning now. We're getting into the concept of things made in the image. All right. So if I told you, you have Hokmah, you have a Elohim and Peter, a father, a Hokmah and a Bina, a duality. That is the beginning of duality. All right. Now, all paradoxes, understand though, a lot of times when you're getting into these, sometimes things seems kind of contradictory, or especially on the literal level. This is the problem people have. They don't understand the literal. They're trying to figure something out, and it's like, no, but they don't understand the prophet's already in other dimensions, when you get into greater dimensions, there is more simplicity or pureness. The paradoxes sort of melt away, all right? Because you have a higher understanding. You can almost see the left and the right, and you can almost see the synthesis. Sometimes you can't, when you look with just natural eyes, you can't see that, all right? Your sight is so limited. All right, number 5. Rhythm. There's a dance going on up in there. The verses in Psalms, it's beautiful, it tells us this. The movement of the stars in the heaven, the melodies they're played. There's a lot of words to describe this rhythm, and it's a rhythm, and it's very orchestrated. It's like a beautiful symphony. And you combine this symphony, really and truly, in the heavens with the sound concept, the concept of sound. And the heavens, really, if we could see it the way, it's a beautiful light and sound show. I could just imagine. And, yeah, you could just see it all happening with light and sound. And anyways, okay. I think you got my idea. But the pendulum swing, the rhythm, and this is again where you can always see, like in the natural. All right, let's just say, just take mood swings. My gosh, you can be happy one minute and cry the next. How quickly we can swing, from one extreme to the other. This is all built into it. This is part of Newton's 3rd law of motion. In the laws of nature, and it talks about how every action there is an opposite or equal reaction. There's always this kind of back and forth dance going on, all right? This is the concept of reaping and sowing. This is karma. Now, I want to say something here. Like, as I said before, it's good to know the metaphysical laws. These things operate, all around us, and in our mind is a constant, I don't want to say laboratory, but these metaphysical laws are constantly going on in our thoughts and in our emotions, especially in our soul life. We know that they happen in the physical, reaping and sowing. If you give, you will receive, all this kind of thing. But let me just say this. One of the interesting things, though, is balance and the pillars on concept. You have a right pillar, you have a left pillar. You have a middle pillar. This is where a lot of people understand that when Yahsua said that Mashiach is our peace. Mashiach is our peace because he's the balancer. He's the harmonizer. He takes all the extremes and he makes it all perfectly reconciled in the middle. This is why I said when you're in the dimensions where you can really see it and you see the reconciliation of it all, it's very beautiful. But one thing is in terms of the mood swings, one of the goals we're supposed to have is to become spiritually mature. So that these swings, all right, that go on, a lot of it is to live above these things and to not let them dictate to us, but us dictate them. I mean, this is the goal of the believer, actually, to get on top of this whole thing, operate from an even higher plane, all right? But it's like one of the concepts is Yahsua said with this, and this is a very Kabbalistic idea, is that eventually you need to become stoic, in the sense that you don't let these swings affect you and throw you off. All right. So in other words, when Yahsua said in where was it, in John 2:25, he said there's a comment that he made. He says he didn't commit himself to man because he knew what was in the heart of all men. The point being that whether men praise you or revile you, you can't be affected by it. All right, this is one of the snares. So if the enemy can get things to sweep. So if people, persecute me, want to persecute because I'm trying to, go deeper on this thing, I can't let their negative comments affect me. I have to stay the course. I have to be stoic. Conversely, you can't let people who praise you, oh, you're so great, inflate your ego. This is what it means. You got to be able to just stay the course and stay in balance. All right. Now, number 6, cause and effect. This is, people don't see this one today, I think, in the real biblical thing of what's going on, all right? Because this isn't cause of blessings and curses. If you obey me, you'll be blessed and all this great stuff will happen. If you disobey me, you're going to get curses. We're living in a whole world that is under huge, quote unquote, curses. All right. And people really aren't seeing it that way. And I'll give you, this is my opinion. And I think this whole concept, let's just say global warming. I mean, this whole concept and what's causing it fundamentally is that we are shifting this little dance of, so this rhythm, we're going so far to the other side, coming under so much influence of demonic energy, demonic manifestation, demonic knowledge, demonic behavior, every category from the other side, that we are totally out of balance. So why would the earth, quote unquote, not wobble? Why would we not have huge swings, even in our weather, in our crop growing, in our lives? See, this is so fundamental. These, like I said, everything is integrated. So what we do in our actions, if we become a country, which, I mean, heck, people, just to date this video, yesterday or 2 days ago, New York State just passed the law of late-term abortion. And the newspaper reports came that everybody stood up and clapped. Why would you clap murder of innocent children in the womb? I mean, what? We are nuts today, all right? But because we are so completely darkened in our understanding, we don't understand this, and we're never going to get out of this cloud that we are living under, and where everything is just turning into chaos, the government shut down, all this kind of stuff, until we repent and we understand what's going on. Okay, cause and effect, number 6. Number 7, gender. This is another big key. Why do you think there is so much crazy gender issues going on? It's a cause and effect. Actually, it's a prophetic fulfillment. But let me just explain this. So everything is polarity, is duality, there's opposites. This is, and when Yahweh made them male and female, and when he told them to go forward, be fruitful and multiply, he is instituting a fundamental law of physics in the natural, metaphysicals, of reproduction. All right, combination. This is how things happen. All right, and it's Yahweh's Torah. All right, so as Yah, this is, as he's in from one stream. Adonai Echad, he is one, but he divided originally into 4 rivers. There were 4 rivers. Well, that's not talking literally on the earth, people. Let's get on trying to figure out. We are talking about 4 huge emanative, let's see, any of the words you want to say, but the ethical qualities of Elohim, the names of Elohim. He sends himself down, so to speak, in certain very specific ways. He's got mercy and he's got judgment. He's going to come at you with blessings, or he's going to come at you with curses. I mean, this is just a fact of life. Nations, they're going to come under judgment, or they're going to come under blessing, salvation. Okay? So, but gender is important because it goes from this kind of simplicity into complexity. And this can only be done correctly if the laws of metaphysics and the naturals are being applied up and down. So when you get into totally modern sexuality, where the pattern, there's no more regard for the pattern that's set up. This is what Paul says, that as a result of people becoming darkened in their mind, not understanding true spirituality, not believing it and understanding it, they are led into all sorts of actions that Yahweh says are totally perverse. So look at our sexuality today. I mean, it's getting more and more perverse by the moment, okay? Now, number 8 is the law of attachment. And this is another really important principle. And this explains a lot of the Old Testament, and especially like with the priests, this idea of clean and unclean and of forbidden mixtures, and why keeping everything, in its neat and tidy. You don't cross streams, all right? This is really important. I mean, fundamentally, the biggest problem starting in the garden, where Adam and Eve and the Nakash, they started crossbreeding on so many different levels. I mean, this is very deep esoteric understanding, and I've flushed it out a little bit. We'll do more. Where different streams were getting crossed and they weren't supposed to be, all right? Now, the law of attachment, though, is a law that contact with something impure contaminates both. All right. So this is why, you don't touch a dead person, or you don't, women in their menstruation, or a lot of these things that we just think are so archaic. We don't understand the law of correspondences. All right. Which was I just went through that. Which is the law of, I think the systems are integrated, all right? The law of correspondence, as above, so below. But something that is impure contaminates both. So negative energy is contagious. And we know this from science. This is where we always, if it's mirrored in the physical world, you know that you're onto something, where bacteria and viruses, they jump. They can, and they do great damage. So it's something so small, a handshake with somebody, getting in an inadvertent sneeze, and you kind of get in the spread, whatever. This is a very important principle. So we need to keep ourselves, this is the concept too, when I get into flushing this, of idols. You need to keep yourself free from idols. Demonically charged, ideas, lifestyles, items, astral or psychic energies. See, today people have no concept of what they're delving into seriously with the dark demonic power, which is being repackaged. And, oh yeah, you can use the forces of nature to bless yourself or bless others. Well, you know what? You are, taking the candy from the bad guy. All right, I'm sorry. You're just being led down a path that is not going to give you blessings, all right? But astral and psychic energies, which is talking about this is the law of attachment, attaches itself. And this was the whole idea with the idols, especially, it's still practiced in many, many cultures that practice this. You will get an idol and it's charged. That was with the temples. You would bring your items into the temple or whatever, and they would through what a blessing or a ritual or whatever. They're demonically charging it, particles, particle to particle. You gotta understand, there is, the energy is being attached. And the next law that goes with this is, and this is a law in nature too, that the stronger will always overpower the weaker. So the law of greater influence. So, and let me tell you what, Satan is a much more formidable entity and can usually overpower babies, newbies. You know, this is the concept, all right? You got to be a strong warrior. That's why it talks about put on the full armor, gird yourself. I mean, get ready to fight. You got an enemy who is very, very powerful. And if you're not as powerful or more powerful, it's going to overpower you. That's the law. That is the law. It works, saint or sinner alike. And this law especially works in psychological warfare. That's why the battle is in the mind. That's why Satan comes at us in our mind, and he tries to overpower us with negative thoughts, negative energy, trying to get us to actually act out, all right, so he can really attach. That's why, you know, it says in about why adultery is so bad, because it's one thing to think in your mind, but it's another thing to act it out, because, man, then that whole thing is just charged top to bottom, and it's a mess. All right. These things, we have to understand these things in the integrated systems that everything's attached. So an action down here, the ripple effect, it's going to up there, or conversely. So when your mind is full of occult strategies, and you're through using innocent witchcraft, or these, you know, you are doing psychological warfare. All right, which is strictly forbidden in the Bible. This is why in a lot of occultists, and not necessarily Luciferian occult, but this knowledge is known by in the Ramez, in the elite categories, these elites who use this law of attachment, these strategies, advertising. I mean, just selling through fear or lack, you know. Huge. I mean, everybody knows selling, trying to get somebody to take something for fear. Oh my God, if you don't use this toothpaste, your teeth are going to rot, whatever. Or if you don't buy this thing, you're going to have real lack in your life. Okay. Or you have to do this, you know, go on this great trip and do this because, you know, because of the pleasure and the fulfillment it will give you. And they're all empty promises. This is just psychological warfare to get us to move out into things that are not sanctioned by, this is the warfare strategy of Hasatan and all his minions and all the energy, dark energy that he has at his disposal. So this is why today it's so important now. I'm going to, because we have to understand more and more how the Bible tells us so many strategies to use, but in our mind, especially how the human mind operates, even though it's organic chemistry, and they know this, yeah, but it doesn't end there. These metals and enemy, that's in our mind, these organic compounds are setting off pistons in front. They're the law of attachment. They're attaching themselves, or they're being attached. So thoughts and ideas in our brain are being chemically attached to our brains. There's a huge science to understand. All right. And unfortunately, not enough people really understand this. We are under extreme occult warfare today. So, because the thing that's understood, you cannot turn your brain off to these influences. You can't. It would be great to put a helmet on that you could really walk around, and you're totally, you can't. The only thing we have is the only kind of dome, what do they call it? Dome weaponry is the bloody Yahsua, in my opinion, and the word of Elohim. All right, that you can put over yourself, and that is like your dome, what do they call that? The dome barrier that'll keep you safe. But if you don't have that, if you're walking around, you cannot turn your brain off, even in your sleep. We still have dreams. There's different levels of sleep, and they know this now, especially Kabbalistically. People should understand, the rabbis know where you go in different stages of sleep, all right? So this stimulus from without, which is full of vibrations, it's full of light waves, it's full of sound waves, and it connects with the compounds, the organic chemistry compounds within us. This is all known by our ancients. This is all part of the darker, the deeper Ramez and Sod level understanding, and the occult dark side, let me tell you what, knows how to use this warfare against us stealthily, usually, and subtly. And I'll give you the greatest example. If you don't understand, the Nazis, the Jews in Europe at the time, who had become extremely rationalistic in their understanding, they had lost a lot of the deeper metaphysical understandings. This is one of the problems of everybody, of the Western mindset. We don't understand the deeper occult mysteries, all right? And the Nazis, who were premier occultists, people begin on Pakistan, these people were totally, especially at the top, Luciferian occult practitioners. And you don't think they were putting unbelievable psychological and then physical warfare on the Jews. And look what happened in a generation. So I just wanted to put that out really quick. I want to tell people we really got to up our game, because the last big showdown's coming. So I just wanted to intersperse this here with the keys of the kingdom that are doing. I'll be back, another video, but like, subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you. Yeah, we can stick with the elect. We're going to win this.